We are standing on a 300-acre farm that we have inherited. In the coming years, we plan to make this farm as sustainable as possible. 100 of these acres will be used for blueberries. The other 200 will be used to grow hay and Angus beef cattle. In the following management plan, we will outline ways in which we plan to make our quality and the community's quality of life better, while creating a sustainable environment.
Some of the environmental challenges include that we're next to a river with the risk of erosion, the removal of invasive weeds, maximizing water conservation, and minimizing the odor and dust output. Additional challenges include urbanization and neighboring farms. There are three main pillars making up sustainable agriculture: social, economical, and environmental. These three areas meet in the middle to sustain farmers, resources, and communities by promoting farming practices and methods that are profitable, environmentally sound, and good for the communities. Sustainable agriculture may also be defined as a system that can indefinitely sustain itself without degrading the land, the environment, or the people. Sustainable farming is used to produce healthful food for the present while ensuring the future generations can do the same. Sustainable farms protect the ecosystem by using techniques such as crop rotation, conservation tillage, and pasture-based livestock husbandry rather than relying on harsh chemicals that contaminate natural resources, such as soil, water, and air quality. Sustainable agriculture is not only used on farms to produce food, but also in the community to reuse and recycle materials while also helping to keep the environment healthy.
We're at a local blueberry farm in the Umpqua Valley. Over the coming years, we hope that our farm will model this one.
Some of our larger startup expenses will be from our equipment, including a tractor, a pickup truck, an irrigation system, and a shop and machine shed. The total cost for the equipment will roughly be $175,000. Our operation has chosen to use a drip irrigation. With this system, we can be 90% more efficient than with a sprinkler system, which allows our farm to be more sustainable in maximizing our water conservation. Our operation is expecting to spend around $5,000 per acre for our blueberry bushes, which gives us a grand total of $508,000. We will spend around $494,000 on labor and other variable costs, including sawdust, chemicals, and property taxes. These costs cover year 0, which is preparing and planting the bushes. Our predicted cost for year 2, when we will be producing berries, is $601,000, covering and replacing lost bushes and machinery, maintenance, and other costs. The larger costs in this year come from harvesting at $94,000 and general labor at $98,000. In our calculations, we plan to have $350 towards chemicals in year 1 and 2. We will use the minimum amount of chemicals as possible so we can prevent water runoff and reduce waste.
We also plan to grow 100 acres of blueberries. There are many possibilities to make this part of our farm a sustainable practice. In order to achieve sustainability, we will use a variety of sustainable farming practices. Biopest control uses natural predators like ladybugs to control pests, reducing the amount of pesticides and herbicides used. Most farmers use fertilizers in order to enrich the soil they grow their crops in. This is effective, but runoff can get into local watersheds, causing toxic algae blooms and harming fish and aquatic life populations. We want to use natural enrichment processes such as compost and manure. Since these methods can be time-consuming and expensive, we will use them in addition to the minimal amount of fertilizers. In order to prevent soil erosion, we would like to use a form of cover crop. Usually a cover crop is used on a field when the normal crop is not being planted. This prevents water and wind erosion from taking away precious nutrients. Since blueberry plants stay planted for a long time, we can't use the traditional cover crop method. So instead, we will plant grass seed in between the rows of berries to prevent soil erosion. The grass clippings will be used as natural enrichment in the soil, reducing the amount of fertilizers used. In order to run our operation, we will have 2 field managers. They will be hired full-time to make sure that the operations are running smoothly. During the harvest season, we will also hire approximately 150 part-time laborers. Once the berries have been picked, we will contract a packing facility to pack the berries. The fruit will then be delivered by trucks to our distributors. Typically, it takes a blueberry plant 2 to 3 years to mature. We will also promote local sustainability by having a you-pick season, so the community can pick their own food. We plan to sell the Duke variety of blueberries. This is because they are popular and have a reputation of being reliable and productive. As well, we want to sell to markets in Portland, Seattle, and San Francisco. All of these practices will make our profitability sustainable.
We are predicting to have a total income of almost $2 million, and this is calculated for if we produce 16,000 pounds of berries per acre and sell at $1.20 a pound. This will give us a profit of $823,000, not including the expenses of contracting out for packaging of the blueberries.
For this cattle operation, it is going to consist us and a ranch hand. Every morning, we will saddle up on our horses that we already owned and go out to check on the cattle. If they are sick for any reason, we will make sure to care for them right away. All of the yearlings that we are selling are not all steers. We are keeping 5 and selling 40. We're keeping that 5-cow buffer zone in case for casualties or for replacements. We are also having a hay field, so we will be farming that in the late spring and early summer. For our startup costs, we will need to purchase 50 head of cattle, which will cost us $75,000. With the cattle, since we are selling them at slaughter, we will need to purchase a squeeze chute, which will cost $1,048.95. We will also need to repair the fencing, so we will need to buy those supplies, and that will cost us $3,668.35. The fencing we are going to have is high-tensile, non-electric fence. We're replacing the fence because we want to keep the cattle out of the streams to maintain clean water. We will need to purchase supplies to build up a barn to store the machinery, which will come up to be about $12,000. That pole barn is 30 feet wide, 72 feet long, and 12 feet tall. To add to it all, we will have to get some Roundup to kill all the weeds so we can replant. That Roundup will cost us $6,860. We plan to produce quality grass-fed beef and 100 acres of quality hay per cut. On a good year, with good weather and conditions, we should be able to harvest 2 to 3 cuttings of hay. Once the cattle is slaughtered, we will sell it at local farmers markets that are within a 50-mile radius of our farm. Selling at local farmers markets will allow us to sell directly to the consumer, which will lower the cost of transportation and will also allow us to maximize our control over the prices. Selling our products local will create a direct bond with the consumer, which will in turn encourage involvement in agriculture for future generations. These local farmers markets will not only benefit us, but will also increase the economic and civic well-being of the community as well. Any meat that is not sold at the farmers markets will be sent with our blueberries to San Francisco, Seattle, and Portland. This way we can send our blueberries and meat together to save money and also reduce gas and air pollution. We will label our meat as natural to attract more consumers and will emphasize the health benefits of grass-fed beef. In this entire scheme of things, we are providing the consumer with safe, nutritious food and are enhancing the quality of life for the community and ourselves. Our beef will be processed and packaged by the town butcher to support local institutions for roughly $1.80 per pound. The meat will also be inspected by the USDA, costing $100 per steer. Altogether, an average of 500 pounds of meat is generated from every steer. Each steer would give us an income of roughly $3,675. If we plan for the worst and calculate that we will only be able to slaughter 40 steers, we should have an income of $147,000. After subtracting our startup costs, packaging, and inspection fees, we are left with a profit of $43,333 for our cattle operations in the first year alone, and will continue to generate profits for years to come. Since we are butchering the yearlings from the cows we are purchasing, we will be able to butcher our first round of cattle after a year and a half. At this time, we would also receive our first round of income.
As you have seen, we have devised a plan that, if properly executed, will improve the quality of life for our family, employees, and community. At the same time, this plan will keep the land, air, and water of our area clean and sustainable. Altogether, we believe that the combination of all of these practices will lead to a better life for our family, community, and employees while keeping our environment healthy and sustainable.